Welcome to Python tutorial on dictionaries. Today we're going to talk about dictionaries, which is another collection data type in Python. Before we start, look at the picture and give a title to this picture or what comes to your mind when you look at this picture. You can use any two words. You can write down in comments and before we discuss more about dictionaries. Take 2 minutes break and then write give a title of with two words only um, about this picture. Today our learning objective is to develop a program for manipulating dictionaries in Python. Our essential question is that you should be able to understand why is it important to choose the right collection data type. We'll create a program, we'll run and debug the program, and we'll answer the essential question in the plenary to get and understand the purpose and application of the learned data type. So the data type that is in our focus today is dictionaries. We're gonna learn different skills, including creating and changing and removing and doing different things like applying method functions like length or copying a dictionary, etc., which we have already done with the list, tuples, and sets also. But the most important things that we're going to learn today is nested dictionary, and also dictionaries are very different from the other three collection data types, from list, tuples, and sets. You will soon understand when you're gonna create it. Before you start creating a dictionary, you should understand that each dictionary has a key, and then we assign a value to the key. Key and values are being assigned with a colon sign, and this acts like one set. So this key one has the value one, and then number two has the value two in string. So this is how we create a dictionary. Let's define a dictionary in our online editor. I'm using online GDB, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the IDE you're using, the code would work in the same way, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'm gonna define a dictionary. I'm gonna use the keyword define one for my dictionary, and I'm gonna just like sets we use curly brackets, but the only difference is that you have to write down a colon sign for defining the first. Now, because my first username is also, I'm gonna write it down all small. So I'm saying username, and it's a string, so that's why written in inverted commas and colon. I'm giving it a value. I'm saying username is G10, and comma. The password for this username is I'm saying colon 10. So you can see I'm using different data types while defining the items in a dictionary. Now if I print define one, it will just print the dictionary as it is. So you can see it here. Username colon grade 10 as it is. There's nothing changed in it. Okay, now let's talk about if you want to print only the keys. Remember, the first part is called key, and the second part is the value assigned to a key. So for example, if you want to get only the username, you can actually use the square bracket, just but instead of index you are going to write down the key. Okay, so this is how you access any value. So you can see the username has the value G10 and it's printing G10. Similarly, if you want to print password, you can write on here password. However, you cannot do the inverse operation. You cannot write on G10 and expect that it will show you username. It would give you an error. Okay, you should only give the key name to access the value. So the first method that I'm telling you is get how to access an item in a dictionary using key. Okay, uh, how to access a value of a specific key. Next thing we can also use a method that is called get method, and we can use that get method to get the value of a specific key. So in that method, we are going to write on define one dot get, and in parentheses, you can write down that I want to get the value of username. So once you have chosen and you will run, it will also give you the same answer, G10 for first value and the other value. So this is using get method. Next thing I'm going to tell you is that right now I've just told you how to access the value. If you want to print only the keys, so you can also use, there is a method that is called keys, and you can write on keys, and this will return you all the keys in the defined dictionary. Let's run it and see. So when you will run it, you can see it's saying username and only password. It's not printing the values. However, if you want to print only the values, just gonna put it down here. Yeah, so you can, if you want to print only the values here, there is another method that is called values. As the name says, this is the best thing about Python, that even the methods are in human understandable form, and it's easy to remember. Access all the values, okay, and when you run it, you can see it is showing all the values, okay. So first value G10 and then 10, and before that it was showing all the username and values. You must be wondering we can access only keys and values separate, and how can we access them together? We can access them together by writing only define one, but then it will show you exactly like a dictionary format. But if you want to show them as a pair and in more clear form, you can actually write down define one dot items. This is the other method, and this will show you, and you will be able to access all the keys with their values, okay, and in ordered fair form, so it will be very clear to understand which key belongs to which item. So you can see username comma G10, and it's in parentheses. So this parenthesis is making it like an ordered pair or like a pair, so that's very clear that username belongs, it should be G10 and password should be 10, has the 10 value. Even if you just print define one, it's going to print you in the same way as we define or create the dictionary, which won't be that much readable. So this is how you create a dictionary, and creating and accessing values in a dictionary. Moving on, the next thing we're going to discuss is how to use control structure, okay, to access um, the the keys or values and items. It's the same method we can use. So using control structures to access items is my next focus skill. For, as you know, we use for loop, and we can write down for x in define one, okay. I'm saying print x. What do you think? What should be printed? Keys or values? Let's check out run. So you can see it is only showing password and username. It means it's just showing us the keys, not the values, okay. But if you want to print, um, instead of, this was only to print the keys, but if you want to print the values, you can actually use the same for loop, but instead of define one, you can write down dot values, the method that I've told you before, and this would print all the values in it. You can see all the are there. Similarly, if you want to print all the keys only, you can actually use for x and define one, and it will actually print you only and the keys. But the other, you can also use more specific way to say keys only, and you can say keys, and it will print you only the keys. So you can see, oh, I forgot the parenthesis, so it's giving me an error. So because it's a method, here we go. So it's showing me the keys, password and username. If we have used three methods before: keys, values, and items. Let's try items. But remember, in items, we were going to print keys and values both. So what we can have to say, we need two variables. So we can say for x and y, and it will automatically define that in items, uh, keys would go to x and then value would go to y. You have to print them with together saying x comma y, like you're printing the value in the values stored in x and y variables. So you can see how does it look like. It's coming in pair: username g10 and password 10. That's the most nice way to print x and y in a clear way. Both keys and values are printed on a separate line and defined in a very clear way. Next thing we're going to do is using a conditional structure to find a value in a dictionary. In our dictionary, I've defined username as G10 and password as 10. So if I'm going to use if condition. If you have already done list, tuple, and sets tutorial, you already know how to use the conditional structure. You just need to write on if and the value that you're looking for. So I'm looking for example, username. I'm gonna check the username key, that is a key in my dictionary. So if username is in define one, then print welcome to the class, else print value doesn't exist. Okay, let's run it. So you know that username is there as a key and g10 is the value and it's saying welcome to the class. So when I'm not using any method, I'm just writing define one, it's checking the key. Let's check if it will can check the value also. So instead of username, I'm writing the value of username, that is g10. So I'm writing g10 and I'm going to run this program to see if define this if condition will be able to search g10. And you can see it's saying value does not exist. But we know that value exists. Look here, it's g10 is there. Why it's saying like that? Because we have used only define one. So define one, if you're just writing the name of the dictionary, like the just name of the dictionary that you have defined in start, then it's just gonna check the keys, not the values. If you have to check the values, you have to write on values method. So you can say if g10 in define one dot values and run, then it will check the values. It will check yes, g10 is one of the values. Welcome to the class. We're going to talk about how to remove an item from a dictionary. Okay, so this is not very difficult. You can actually use two methods. One of the method is called pop method and the other method is called pop item. We'll do it right now. So for example, our dictionary name was define one and I want to use pop method. The pop method gives us a flexibility that we can define the key. Now remember, the key here is actually username and password. So we can use one of the thing here and we can say delete username. So once we will delete username, and if I print my uh, dictionary here, it should have deleted the username. And let's check it out, and you can say only password is available now, username is already. So the other method through which you can remove an item is pop item. So I'm making define one dot pop as a comment so that it won't run. And I'm writing define one dot pop item. This the other method, but the only thing is that you can't write on any argument here. It will automatically delete the last item. If you write on an argument, it will give you an error. So it has deleted the username, and you can see the only thing that is mentioning right now is password. Username is already being deleted. So that's the difference between pop, in which you can give an argument and specifically delete a thing, and the other is pop item, in which will automatically delete the last item. I'm going to put it in comment because I wanted two values and I want to try some different methods. The other thing that you can use is del. In del, you can also say define and you can write on in square bracket. You, for example, you want to delete the username. So when you run, only password would be left. So look here. Oh, it's giving an error. Define username. What could be? Let me check. Username. Define username. So it's giving us an error. So, oh, because it's saying defined, the name was defined one. Let's run it again. Password is left. If instead of username, I will remove passwords, then only password, then only username would be shown. So you can see username colon G10 here. Okay, so this is how to use del method. The last method to remove things, if you are not using this argument, if you're just going to write on del define one, it will delete the full dictionary there. But I don't want to do it right now, deleting the full dictionary, so I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to put this one as comment so that I can try another method to remove my value. I'm going to use the last method I'm going to use, it's clear. So I'm going to say define one dot clear, and clear will actually clear all the items from the dictionary and will give us an empty dictionary. You can see this is an empty dictionary. All the items are being deleted from the dictionary. I'm also going to use del and define one without any argument, which is going to delete define one, and it's going to give an error when I'll try to print define one because it would be already deleted. Let's run it and check it. So in line 29 it's been deleted, and then in line 30 it's giving that define one is not defined because it's already been deleted. So that's all. I'm just going to write on here. This is how you can remove the items from there. Last thing that I'm going to tell you is how to adding different items in a dictionary. Well, adding a new item in a dictionary is not at all difficult. Just need to write down the name of dictionary, then the new argument name that you want to give. So for example, you have already done username and password. Let's define a pin. So if you want to define pin, you just need to write on it like that and then write on equal to and whatever value you want to give. So I'm saying 2020. So when I run and when I print define one again, you can see another value being added there. Let's check it out. Okay. Password 10, pin 2020, and username G10. So now it has three values in there. If you want to change, instead of adding a new value, if you want to uh, redefine a value, okay, of a key, that is also not difficult because as you know the dictionaries are changeable. You just need to write on define one, and then instead of index number you're going to define your key. So you can say I want my pin to be changed from 2020 to 2021, and when you would run it you can see the pin is now changed to 2021. Okay, so that's all for adding and removing things, items from the dictionary. The other methods you can use like copy, how to copy the same dictionary. It's very easy. You can always copy the same dictionary using the copy method. So if you have define two, and you can say copy define one dot copy, so it will make another copy of define one and put it there. Same thing if you want to print the length of the define one, you can use print define one. um, Len is a function, so you have to write on len and then define one inside. So it will measure the length of defined one. It is having three items, so you can see it's gonna print in the end three. Okay, so that's all for today. Practice and enjoy.